Okay, I'm going to try to get this bolt out of here. It's just above the surface, so it shouldn't be too hard. Basically, you got two of them different ones to go. You got a center punch and you got a chisel. You use small punches, a small hammer. So usually what you do is you start just off the center, and then you can lightly make it turn. Over here the spring's in the way, so come over here. You just go like that, so you can make them turn like that a little bit. Like that. So that's how you do it that way. The other way is you use a cold chisel, which is this one. Now you're not pushing straight, you're pushing at an angle again. Oop, this one's loose enough now, it's moving, but anyway. I don't need to do this right now, but I'm just showing you another way of doing it. Okay, so you put a little slot in there like that, and then you start beating on the cold chisel to go around. You can actually push harder with this than you can with a center punch. It's got more area you're pushing against. But anyway, that's how you do it. So there's two different ways of doing it. If it's up to the flush with the surface, or at least not more than one thread deep, you can do it. But see, this was never torqued. I don't know why it even broke off, but obviously it was ready to break before. And it definitely did break as soon as we went to use it. So there that is. So that's how you fix those. Okay, now we're going to try the only grade 8 bolt has a little bit longer. So I'm going to see if I got room to put the longer one in here. So the way you check that is you put this back up in here. And you don't put the washer under the head. Get the gasket up to where it belongs. Probably won't be able to go all the way in, but you never know. They did. Okay, see how it goes all the way down flush? So that means when you put the washer in there, you'll be able to torque it all the way. If there's any kind of a gap in there, that means you couldn't have torqued it. Okay, so even though this thing's a 1/4 inch longer, the head is deep enough. Harley-Davidson machine use head's pretty deep, so we lucked out. Okay, so we're going to take the washer off the broken bolt. It doesn't need it anymore. And we'll do this whole thing one more time. We got 2 more of those we can break off now. Always surprises when you put this stuff together. Damn gasket doesn't like to be where it belongs, see? There it goes. Okay, got our short and longs again. Long, short, short, long. Getting this started. One more time. Okay, washer tightened up. Back it off a little. We're just going down until it touches. And back off just a little bit. We still want the box to be able to move, that's why we're doing it that way. My Allen wrench. Bring our 1/2 inches down. Okay. Now, the reason we want to leave it loose, we want to make sure the gasket doesn't overhang out one side a bunch. So you kind of center up your gasket. You also want to make sure that the valve spring collar is clearing everything. So usually what I do is I push the box this way here, and then shove it back and forth, and the bolts are in a curve like that, so it'll center the box. Okay, after you get it centered up, We'll give a light torque on this. Go in there with a flashlight. You check your valve spring collar clearance. Make sure you got clearances up in here with your high lift cam and everything. See up here, you can see better. So you get about 40 thousandths right there, maybe 50. You also want to make sure up underneath your rocker arm and your cover, your collar here, make sure the collar doesn't hit inside the rocker arm up under there. And you just double check everything all the way around the whole spring. So as long as you got good clearances, you're good. This motor here looks really good. So we got lots of clearance. So you always want to double check that. Okay, now we come back to our small bolts. Torque the nose. Pull this down about 5-10 foot-pounds there, whatever that is. Okay, those are down. Okay, now you can either tighten the small bolts first or the big bolts first. Now the small bolts are on the outside of the circle, the big bolts are on the inside of the circle, so I usually tighten the big bolts first. That way everything kind of just spreads out when you torque it. So just bring these down a little bit to begin with. Now we also know these push rods are loose still. You have to make sure you're not on the wrong stroke. Okay, that was our first torque there. Okay, so there's Harley torque. Let me just go a little deeper just to make sure they're tight. Yeah, that's about the right number. I do a crisscross pattern like everything else. So we just go, yeah, a little bit extra. We do the same thing with these ones too. So you go torque, and you give it a little extra just to see if you can break the bolts off. Okay. A wrench here. Alloys you can't torque very well. They're so damn flexible, these torque wrenches don't work too good on them. Okay, and our push rods are still loose, so we don't have to worry about that problem. This cylinder's actually on the overlap stroke right now. Okay, so now we go over to do this one that we started first. Of course, we finish it last. Let's see if we can find another crappy bolt.
Let's not do that.
You want to do that?
Not tonight.
There's only one in the motor, not two? Jeez. No fun at all.
Well, hopefully we find all the crappy bolts.
Well, at least you found it before I torqued it in tight. There's a plus. Usually when I break them when I'm torquing the piss out of them, so. Still don't break them very often because they are good bolts. So.
Not that one.
Now that one was past its limit. Somebody did something to that one before.
Sabotage.
Are the threads pulled at all, or they just snapped off?
Looks like it just snapped off.
Yeah, vibration problem. It's an inferior bolt. So when you look at a bolt, when they're over torqued, like this one is, see how the threads are different shape between here and here?
Yes.
So this bolt was over torqued and it pulled, and so it's past its limit. So it just happened to fracture and break when I just slightly screwed it in. But somebody over torqued that bolt. That's how you tell they're over torqued. So it's not it wasn't a bolt problem. Some guy like me torqued it too much, except maybe more than I just did it. I've done enough bolts, I kind of know what you can do with them. Okay, we get them all down lightly, put them there, center up your gasket, center up your box, push that way and center it up again, just like we did before. And then go ahead and bring it down lightly. Kind of like we did before, you know. Okay. Get the little small ones. No leak ones yet. Alright. Push rods are loose. Okay, now we do our double check on our spring here, make sure everything's clearanced. Everything looks good. Okay. Alright, so now we go ahead and pull these things down like we did the other one.
Okay, I thought it broke again.
You're getting paranoid. Well, rest assured, if they over torqued the one, they probably over torqued all of them. But we only found one that was bad, so we're okay. So I'll probably get them an extra 8 foot-pounds more. Got all of them in there?
Yep.
Didn't miss one?
Yep.
Didn't miss this one? No. See, if the motor moves on a bench, you know it's the right torque. So you got to put your arm against it so you can give it a little extra. And pull down these Allens. Make sure the Allen's all the way down too when you do that. See if I can see the wrench bending, so you know how much torque you're putting on it. See? And so I push my thumb right here. That way I'm not trying to rip the Allen out like this. I'm actually just pulling it. That's the correct way of torquing. Alright, so when you're all done, make sure the rocker arms are free and there's no binding. If there's any binding, you get to take it back apart and correct the binding. Like when I was beating that shaft in there, if I hit the end of the bush and put a big burr in it, it would lock up that arm. It wouldn't be working. So take it apart, fix it, and put it back in again. Okay, so we're up on that, so we'll move on to these push rods next. Okay. I'll pass you.